Hello everybody and welcome to a video about my concerns about Overwatch 2. Recently we saw the pros playing Overwatch 2 and give their feedback, which, along with the content put out by the Overwatch development team, has given me, personally, a great deal of cause for concern. In this video I will highlight areas of concern that I have, whilst also explaining why I feel that way. However, later in the video I will also be discussing what I do like the look of and why. Also, before we start, I recognise that all of these perceived problems may just be because I really like Overwatch and I'm slightly biased, or I'm scared of change, or I'm getting worked up over nothing. That very well could be the case because I'm also nervous for Halo Infinite as well, so it could just be that I'm getting really nervous over games which I'm very hyped for. I like Overwatch. That should be fairly obvious by now. The game is not perfect, but I immensely enjoy it, whether it's QP when I'm by myself or comp with friends. I like the look, the feel, the gameplay, the sound. There is no one element of Overwatch that I universally dislike. I understand that others will disagree, and that's perfectly fine, but from my perspective, the game is great. I fear that Overwatch will be gone with Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 has already greatly destroyed many aspects of the game. We had the last hero nearly 2 years ago, our last new 6v6 map in May 2019, and no significant changes to the competitive since they got rid of hero bans in early 2020. I would probably not be making this video if I felt that Overwatch 1 would still be supported as a separate game, even if it was without the esport and had less focus than Overwatch 2. But if you were keeping count, then you would realise that we haven't had a new 6v6 map at all, and only one new hero since Overwatch 2 was announced. So I wouldn't hold my breath on Blizzard changing their minds from updating Overwatch's multiplayer to Overwatch 2's and keeping the games separated. The way Blizzard won't be keeping on with Overwatch 1 is not the only thing that I do not like the look of in Overwatch 2.
We have a lot more new looks, so I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
I'm so sorry guys, I really tried to like the new look for the game, but I just really don't. The brighter and higher saturation UI is really not doing it for me and reminds me a lot of Valorant. Also, small changes have really just annoyed me personally, even if they are a bit nitpicky. Like, why have the cornered edges instead of rounding them? Why have they straightened everything? Why have they inverted the black and white of the ultimates? Why have they gotten rid of the segments in the ult and barrier sections? And with Ryan, why have they got his shield health in the middle of the screen at all times, whether his shield's up or down? Also, I think maps at Sunset/Sunrise look really weird. It kind of reminds me of how Sunset looks in Fortnite Chapter 2, and I don't think it looks particularly great there either. I actually like most of the new sounds, especially Soldier.
With escort maps is Super, he's actually going to get demexed really early, and that's going to allow Sparkle to take this high ground here through the train.
Yeah, this train car forms.
But some of the weapons sound really stupid now, like Diva's out of her mech blaster sounds even more like a toy. There are some changes to the UI, sound and look with certain characters and things that I do like, but I will talk about that a little bit later in the video. Lastly, I really dislike the new kill feed. The sound is nice when your teammates die, but the actual icons are far too small and they look like when something minor happens in Overwatch 1, like a pulse bomb or a Diva remake, but it isn't the biggest problem that I have that involves the tanks.
Overwatch 2 will be played with 2 teams of 5 players.
Probably the most controversial part of the video. I think this change is absolutely ridiculous. Ripping out a core part of Overwatch to appease people that probably won't even play the game is a ludicrous decision in my eyes. If you think this is a good change, then more power to you, but I genuinely don't understand how this will not drive a significant portion of tank players away from the game. People say that, oh, they're going to rework the tanks so they fit the 5v5, stop thinking about it in Overwatch terms. Genuinely confuse me because a lot of them also argue that this will fix queue times, but like, this game is supposed to bring back many lapsed fans and introduce many others to the game. So if you make tanks appealing, people will want to play them. What's appealing about being the only tank and being targeted by everybody without any other tank to help you out? If you listen to top tank players, a lot of them will constantly tell you about how little tanks are able to do play-wise in Overwatch 2.
Nobody has made any plays. The DPS are getting kills, the supports are doing their jobs. Tanks have literally not made a single ounce of impact in any of these games. Not one little bit. So tell me how it's more fun. Tell me how it's better, because they're not going to do anything. They're going to AFK.
And then tanks, they can't because there's only one tank. So you're fucking taking all the brunt of the impact, right? And DPS are just like, okay, so if this is like normal power level here, tanks are like down there, supports are like there, and then fucking DPS are fucking, you know what I'm saying?
Having one less player on your team and being a solo tank, I mean, it does. I mean, even just watching this again, it does feel very, I hate to say it, but it does feel very disjointed, very deathmatchy.
There are two tanks that I am really worried about, and we haven't heard much regarding reworks, and what we do know about them is either terrible or not enough. These tanks are Zarya and Roadhog, but Zarya more so. Roadhog looked terrible in the moments that he's been on screen, and has no significant adjustments to him. His solo style of play probably won't be viable in Overwatch 2, and overall, he just seems like he'll be a bullet sponge, which doesn't particularly sound fun at all. Zarya is more worrying though, as explained by Super.
This is actually such a fucking nerf, because if she uses both of her bubbles like this, they're on the same cooldown cycle. If you bubble yourself and a teammate at the same time, you have to wait 20 seconds to get both your bubbles back.
And this all seems to stem from Blizzard trying to appease just one role. I would very much like to know what made Blizzard think that focusing the game on just the DPS perspective would be a good idea. It probably has something to do with the fact that people just want to shoot things, and Blizzard aren't bothered about trying to sell them on the teamwork aspect of this game that won multiple awards for its unique take on the FPS genre as a team game. The game sold 60 million copies, and they want to change direction because why? They want sales from people that were unlikely to play the game anyway, and almost certainly won't stick around for long. Also, I touched on it before, but the major buffs to damage in this game are ludicrous. I really hope that minus 25% healing does not go through. But why are Blizzard, 1, making DPS go faster, and 2, why are they stating that they are allowing for a higher carry potential? Decreasing the TTK and healing just means that the game is less fun to play, the way that it is currently being played. If you are good enough in Overwatch 1, you can carry. It's just true. But the whole point is that it's a team game. The team play should decide whether you win or lose. There are some other things I want to get into, so I won't spend too much longer on this section, but it feels as if Overwatch have just decided that healer and tank can be taken for granted. They'll enjoy the game no matter what. You can even see that in the new maps.
All of our players at home, they want to see one of the new maps that we've never talked about before.
I do not understand why people are raving about the first point of New York like it's something we have never seen before. There are a lot of ways to attack that point, but there are a lot of ways to attack almost every point in the game. It's a bit off topic, but it's a really weird discussion that I'm seeing all the time. The map looks fine. However, obviously I haven't played any of them. The only map I'm unsure of the look of is Rome, but it could just be nothing. It cannot be worse than literally every King of the Hill map. The main thing that concerns me about the maps in Overwatch 2 is how few we have seen combined with Blizzard's record of inconsistency with the quality of the maps. Overwatch currently has 19 maps in competitive rotation, and yes, I know that the maps will also be in Overwatch 2, but that's not the point. Overwatch released with 12 maps, and we only had 7 new maps confirmed to us. This, however, is not my main issue. So long as we see a few more maps before release, then I won't be too fussed. But my main concern is Blizzard's history of new maps. This is entirely down to personal taste, but only 4 of the 6v6 maps that they put in after the release of Overwatch have been good. Personally, 5 of them were terrible. 2 of those 5 were so bad that Blizzard themselves took them out of competitive game modes entirely. Having said all of this, out of the ones we have seen, I only don't like the look of Rome. Apart from that, I do want to play them, so this isn't the biggest area of concern, but it is always in the back of my mind. Yeah, that's enough negativity for one day, I think.
I'm so excited!
It would be unfair to talk about Overwatch 2 without mentioning some of the stuff that doesn't make me nervous. The Sombra rework is very nice, even if it is perhaps a tad OP, but that could just be because I am a Sombra main. Some of the new maps look absolutely gorgeous. Monte Carlo, Rome and Rio especially. The new time of day for some of the maps looks great as well. Looking at you, Havana. Like I've already said, I like most of the sounds in the game and the look of the new game mode as well. And no new 2CP maps, and the new extra visual indicators are very nice. Nano Speed Boost and Mercy Staff's applied effects especially look very nice. Overall, I have a reason to be somewhat hopeful for Overwatch 2, but I am feeling scared for the quality of the game. But I do have faith that if it does release in a bad state, it could be fixed. Thank you all for watching. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Did you feel I should go and kill myself? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe as well. And I shall see you all later.